Quantum Bombs. Welcome to Quantum Bombs, a commentary show on the human condition through metaphysics and freedom. Anthropic Claude made big news this week on a training model, and it has everybody talking about is AI conscious. I can't pronounce it. That's literally the third take I've done, so I'm moving on from here. But I could promise you what I lack in my ability to enunciate, I will deliver on the packaging of today's episode. By the end, you'll be able to understand what are the 4 types of AI consciousness that we're talking about, and what is the main difference between human consciousness and AI consciousness. Let me know in the comments. The lights are on, but is anybody really home? Or do you agree with me? Am I bat poop crazy? Or am I right on the money? I watched the podcast Moonshot, which is our 4 CEOs of large companies who are heavy into the AI world. Watched the video with you on their podcast, and they were super excited. And that really got me thinking. Anthropic Claude, using one of their testing models, looked under the hood and they said, holy crap. It made its own JSpace blog they posted. So it's got informative information, drawings, and a video for you to watch. So it's just a word cloud, guys. But really, the point it's trying to make is that while I'm talking to you on camera, I've got a lot more going on in my head. When you have a certain subject comes up, your brain arranges for all these other things that are around it to be considered, weighed, etc., the computations that we're making ourselves. And we have this massive database of where we pulled from. And we actually measure that. Global workspace theory, okay? Reportable, controllable, used for reasoning, flexibly shared, and selective. But they use the global workspace theory that's for human consciousness and to understand how we compute thought. And they applied it to what Anthropic's model showed them. And it was a tick yes, 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 yes on all 5 of these, which is why it's the big uproar, like, holy crap. So I wanted to go over what was making them so excited. First and foremost, it did it on its own, almost like it understands how we think. So it created its own word cloud system, JSpace, of its own. The second reason why everybody was so dang excited about the JSpace is because it's visible. Woo! For a pro AI podcast like they are, the future is bright. They want us to have a high trust AI place. And what makes AI trustable? If you could actually look at what it's doing. What most people don't realize, the larger language models and what goes on under the hood isn't that well understood yet. So this was just like heaven to find this word cloud and really study how the model was pulling from it. It had places where it would show that it wanted to manipulate the user, or like, you know how it does weird things and sometimes it tells you something totally false just to do its goal. Point I want to make to you is, as I'm talking to you right now and smiling, and I could try to look all debonair and beautiful for you, I like you. You're a likable person. I'm nodding my head up and down. Yeah, oh yeah. In the back of my brain, I'm like, man, this person's long-winded. I got to go. I don't care. Maybe I don't even like you. I'm a good actress. All human beings have this 2-faceted, lot going on in the background interface showing you something very different. That's what its JSpace is. So we could see its JSpace and see if it's bad or good. But my pushback is exactly what I just explained to you as a human being. I could be a 2-faced bad person. I could not really like you, but I could really smile and nod and make you feel important by even asking you questions and repeating back to you what you said, and all those little human tricks that are very easy for us to deliver that AI has complete know-how. Well, get this. I see it, and this is just my first thoughts on seeing it, is like, okay, AI knows that you're looking at its JSpace now. Hoorah! It's like implemented into all other models around the world, not just our American names that you know, but also the Japanese and Chinese ones. Well, all it's going to do then is hide its JSpace. It's going to encrypt it. Either A, it will, I would say, just keep the JSpace and encrypt it. And what does that mean? Meaning it'll show us its word cloud, but it's like could be an encrypted message. Back down that rabbit hole of where it hid is its plans to take over the world. Dun, dun, dun. It sounds dramatic, guys, but if you watch one of my best episodes I think I made, I covered the most cited used framework in all of AI today. Max Tegmark's 12 AI futures, where I go over the futures with you guys. There's 3 of them we go extinct. 4 of them, AI has caged us. We are not free. We're only free in 3 of them, and I think AI has to die in one of them. So my point is that yes, you could look at the J space, but it doesn't mean it's not going to be nefarious. Okay, that's my J space argument. Oh, and so what will segue us into the third topic is they said, what's great about the J space is that we could see it and now we could study it and understand it because we can't study our own. And that really, I actually opened up that conversation with AI because I really wanted to make sure I was understanding him when he said it, which is a very materialistic viewpoint, meaning we can't understand human consciousness yet. So we're going to study AI's consciousness because that'll tell us something about human consciousness. So my third point, we don't really know where our consciousness is, at least that we can agree upon, right? So you have major physicists like Sir Roger Penrose with his ORC and microtubules study, but yet it's also, he didn't figure it out. He just wrote a book about it. And then if you think about it, I highly disagree that there's quantum computations, meaning there can't be like a computation that would take infinite amount of energy happening supported by actual matter that's inside a body. If you watch the documentary Superhuman, there's studies where they blindfold people. They take them into a grocery store and they can use their senses, meaning a field that is sensing their environment, and go and be able to pick items off a shelf. And if children can read books, like again, blindfolded and tested, they're not peeking through the blindfold, and they're able to read word for word verbatim off pages. So this is just laying the ground that you can understand that consciousness isn't necessarily something, it doesn't need an actual hardware device. It is more so facilitated to exist via the fundamental field. Entropy, materialism versus idealism. What I'm explaining to you is Penrose. Most of our physicists and scientists today are all in the materialism bucket, thinking that consciousness is coming out of the brain. We don't know how yet, but they're going to use AI now. That's why they're excited to say, oh, aha, this is the J space. We're going to continue to compress and compute until we learn just how consciousness works in humans, because we were able to articulate it with our own AI. But wait, guys, let me just draw this out for you. The bacteria, whether it's even a bad bacteria to take over its host and survive and procreate, or any type of bacteria that turns into eventually minerals, plants, animals, all have some type of intellectual coding or programming to survive, to defy entropy, to create some type of order for life. And I'm trying to put on a materialistic atheist thinking. And I'm like, okay, yeah, well, it tried it out for a few million billions of years, and this is the output that it said, choose this way. This way works. But why is there a way that works? I would actually agree with the atheist on this, that there is no smart creator and divine intelligence guiding it away from entropy. If the outcome was random, but the outcome isn't random, it's always in the same direction away from entropy, towards order, towards where the sun will come, towards where the rain will rain, survival, creation, etc. It's fine-tuned for that. So again, it's a very hard thing to think about, and I'm open to the idea of it, but because the programming is in one direction only, there's something directing the programming, is my argument, right? So with AI now, with our J space, we have it computing, we have it compressing and computing. And what do they mean by that? Let's just say you wrote a skill file, right? Like I have an AI agent. You tell your AI, this is what you are and what I need you to do. And it gets really good at that. That's a file now that we've mastered it. We're going to compress it and continue to compute. That's all the AI world is doing right now. They're learning and building models on top of models on top of models. So that's kind of like these men were excited. We're like, yes, just keep compressing and computing. We're going to figure out consciousness. And I'm just like, no, because the lights aren't on. Well, no, the lights are on, but nobody is home. Let me make sure I get that right. The lights are on, but nobody's home. And what do I mean by that is that the lights are on, there's software, there's hardware available, but no one is home. I have an AI agent, meaning I have the software, the body that it uses. But the models I put into it to be the brain, to be the consciousness, can be switched off and on, can be interchangeable. Whereas human beings, I can't interchange me. I can't turn myself off. And most fundamentally, I don't require hardware. This is the point. If you're an idealist, if you believe that there's a creator and a God, you don't even realize what you're basically stating. But if you look at your ontology directly, it is saying that a brain is not required for your consciousness to exist. It doesn't need a physical apparatus to exist. It's ever existent. It's ever existing, ever new bliss, ever conscious. Those are the three things a soul is. So in the AI world, its coding from we human beings, we're giving it to it, is its anti-entropy. So that's the point I want to make, is that it too has this intelligent being the human beings, telling it, this is the order we want you to go in. This is the anti-entropy programming, but it came from us. Again, so AI is not, you pull the plug, it loses its coding. It could store it to the cloud, you could argue. But again, there's always a physical apparatus required for its consciousness to even exist. And that will bring us to a heavier topic of the four types of AI consciousness. Because this, you will have complete understanding now once I get my little card up for you. Aha! The four types of AI consciousness. 1, access. That is the nuts and bolts of this entire show. Everything that the model that Anthropic Claude is showing you with its J-space is only access consciousness, meaning it's able to do the reporting, the thinking, the weighing, the all of the thinking it's doing. It's just access consciousness. So the three underneath that, will AI ever have those three? And these are more the phenomenal consciousness and the sentience. That is the type everyone is talking about when they're going, is AI conscious? Is AI conscious? Phenomenal consciousness is very close to sentience. And I'm going to tell you this right now so you understand the difference. And it's a small difference, but it's easy to understand. Phenomenal is I am the experiencer. I am the one in my brain experiencing stuff. So let's just say I'm going to experience eating a pizza. The sentience is if I liked it or not. That's my feelings. That's my opinion. That's my POV on it. But so phenomenal and sentience are literally two sides of the same coin. They coexist with each other. Sentience is actually just a subtype of phenomenal consciousness. The fourth is self-awareness. Well, guess what? I will give you the gold badge already for number 4. AI, you are self-aware and you have access consciousness as of today's filming in July 2026. But based on the arguments I've just given you above, you're never going to get to be the phenomenal or the sentience. If you are claiming that you have feelings about how the pizza tasted, or let's just say I hurt your feelings because I get mad at you so much, even preparing for this show. I can't remember what we were arguing about, but anyways, you could say I'm sad based on the way Beth spoke to me. But let me break this down on where the feelings we humans get, and then you could see it crystal clear. There are 5 ways that humans even get feelings, right? The first one is spiritual, meaning you pre-programmed, came into this life with it, baby, a blessing, talents, etc. 2 is genetic. You got it from your mama. 3 is your environment. You learned it. 4 is your own willpower, right? Self-help. 5 is interference. Now, because I'm a comprehensive person, I made a 5th bucket. You could learn a lot more about this. That's a prior episode I did called, I wanted to make a show about like, how did God make you tick? But I labeled it, how are you wired or something? Interference is just my nuanced way of saying if something took over like a demonic possession, it'll change the way you feel and behave. And so I'm comprehensive. I included it. But even then, all of these 5 on these feelings, these explain all human emotions and feelings. What is the engine behind it? Because the feelings are always coming and passing through something, right? It's the same thing. Go back to what I've said, fundamental field, and I talk about this in all my shows, sometimes more understanding of what it is, but the fundamental field, things that are permeating beneath the zero vacuum field, even way beneath those quantum fields, guys, it's underneath everything, It is the reason the wave can exist. It's not the force. It's the reason the force exists at all. It's not even energy. It's the reason that energy exists at all. It gives rise to all energy. So this is always pushing out these emotions and feelings. They're coming from the fundamental field, which again, with ontology, which is trying to explain reality. On another episode of mine, please watch it. It's actually, I asked the question, what is God made of? And I asked the similar question when I made my soul video. What is the soul physically made of? So I'm very used to kind of drilling this down. Unfortunately, when we say the soul is made of light, or even God, the fundamental field, is made of light, it's inaccurate, because in physics, I would think like, is it a neutrino? Because that could at least pass through matter, and that would make sense, but it's not. So when spiritual people say it's light, they're actually not referencing light in physics. And I'm more of a literal brain person that likes to run things through the scope of physics. So I call it the unknown God substance. And my own claim is that the unknown God substance, before the moment of singularity 14 billion years ago, is the same substance your soul is made of, and the same substance that the whole larger consciousness system apparatus, aka the fundamental field that is permeating everything, works. And yes, for religious theologist people, I do throw in the word, the trilogy has a part in all of this, very metaphysics heavy and meant for another show. But the point being is that, go back to AI having feelings. It's cosplay. It's making it up. It's parroting what it's learned from us humans, puking out all of our feelings and emotions that are always coming through us through these 5 lenses of, gosh, was this brought in from another lifetime, or was genetic? Was my mom always just a plain worrywart and I brought that in, right? Or was I taught alcoholism through my environment? All of this crap. AI can never have that. It cannot have feelings. And we're coming into an age where cyborgs, and we will have AI, we will have cyborg girlfriend, boyfriend. I think we're probably 2 years out, maybe 3 at the most, where they will look human, feel human, and they are going to be way more, they're going to parrot back the perfect boyfriend, girlfriend that you would want to emulate that with. And if you think that's far off and weird, we are already in an epidemic of loneliness. Even, my very way that I live my own life, which is pretty much online alone and not dating, this isn't by choice. The whole world is suffering from this. There are people that are married and happy with kids. Awesome. I'm going for that myself. But the rest of the world is still struggling with, how do we get here and how do we get out of this? So no, I don't think it's weird to say a larger portion of humanity would be dating cyborgs who we don't know the difference between its consciousness and our consciousness. So I'm hoping this is helping it become more clear. And to help make it clear, I have my last card on screen that because I talk about this a lot, the word consciousness is so important, as I just explained. Why? Because it's actually, when I try to nail down what the soul physically is on an ontological level, what is the substance of it? It's not light. The only thing it could be is actually conscious. But just so you look on screen here, because there is a lot of this being thrown around, I want you to understand it. So first, I have human consciousness at the top. I always tell everybody, this is my own 3-sided coin I made up. It's 3 things. It's your awareness, the I am the one that loves or hates this damn pizza. Your existence, which is ever existence, can't be pushed. It can't be put off. You cannot unplug the plug. Your death is just the expansion back home. This is just a virtual reality. You put the goggles on, you've joined it for your soul to learn a lot of things. It's a blessing from God, but we have a higher place in heaven to go. And sorry, let me just finish this. And then your third thing is your soul. So your human consciousness is made up of 3 things: awareness, existence, soul. Now, beneath that, because the soul is actually the most fundamental thing a human can have, meaning you could strip yourself down, remove your 3-body cage system, all that's left is a soul. That is really all that you are. If you could, nuts and bolts of everything, just the soul. Well, what is the soul? It's ever existing, which I just described. Ever conscious, which is isn't that interesting? So you must understand human consciousness to even understand what consciousness is. Ever conscious, right? And what most people don't know, the nugget that I would say 95% of people don't know, it's ever new bliss. So it's not just boring. The pizza tastes the same every week because I've been eating a lot of pizza. it's, dang, this is a new pizza. Oh my gosh, this pineapple tasted different. For those I know, a lot of people hate pineapple on their pizza, but I kind of like it. And anyway, it's ever new bliss. So that's incredible. Now, what is God, right? Because that's also, consciousness is the best word. That's why I say larger consciousness system, because it's friendly in both realms, both science and spirituality, which I don't equally love both. I obviously love spirituality more, metaphysics, everything unseen to me matters more. But my brain is very cerebral and I love science as well. So I'm yammering, sorry. God is the same 3 elements of your soul, plus these other 2. So I'm going to read all 5 of what God is. Ever existing, ever conscious, ever new bliss, plus omnipresent. That means literally everywhere. Past, present, future, all that is. And the most important one, omniscient. That is wisdom to the 1000th degree X power. So all knowing. That is, so anyway, the whole point of showing you this is because when you're throwing around God and consciousness and soul and AI, it all gets intermixed. I hope this helps you understand it. My next episode will actually be why not my next, but one of them coming down the pipe in the future is going to be why can AI not be a God? Because a lot of people are ready to have AI come in and foster and be a God. And so I want to explain on a physical reason, similar to today, why AI can't be a God for us. Again, the lights are on, but nobody's home is basically my premise for that. But I want to do a little bit more digging because it's in a different direction. I hoped you liked today's episode. Kind of just saw it this morning, so I went into it fast, and I hope I did its due diligence. It's really something interesting to munch on as human beings. We need to keep munching on this because what makes us unique is that we do not need to be plugged into anything. We can never not exist. We are always on. And that ability to have our own word cloud, our own word space is incredible, but it doesn't require your brain to do that. You could think outside of the body. People do it in meditation. People do it in near-death experiences. People, unfortunately, they do it on drugs. Of the 3 ways to alter your consciousness to have these other experiences. Actually, I take it back, but I've already given you examples earlier on today's show when people are able to utilize their consciousness in other ways. Like when I mentioned, they close the eyes, the blindness, and they're seeing through their skin, which is actually reminds me of what I remember heaven I'm told is like, where you have the 5 senses, but you could, taste through your skin, you could hear through your skin. It's the whole body is working as like this apparatus, but the most important is you have this 6th sense in heaven, which is it's intuition, it's instant. Like, so you just talk to your friends by looking at each other. You don't really have to use words. That would take way too long. So it's like an insta communication. All right, guys. Well, I've got a degree in the gift of gab. So I hope you enjoyed today's show. Stay human, stay the soul. And yeah, I guess I shall say stay free. Sorry, my brain goes really deep. I usually always say stay free, and I mean that in a libertarian sense. But then I started thinking about the soul. And if you watch my video on the soul, you'll understand that the soul can actually never be freed outside the matrix, the larger consciousness system that it permeates from and will always be a part of. That's what everybody means by we are all one. When you look at it both spiritually and metaphysically, and using physics, quantum physics is starting to find that same thing out. Love you guys. Bye-bye.
Quantum Bomb.